A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I don't have a lot of time before I have to live stream Office of Morning Prayer on my channel where I do Liturgy of the Hours and all that. But I did want to get in a quick book review while I was thinking about it, while the book is kind of fresh in my mind. So I want to do a book review for The Happy Prince. Now I was hoping to do it yesterday because if I had, sorry, I'm reaching over you guys. If I had actually not worked on my book journal yesterday, I probably would have finished it within, the time yesterday and been able to, record a video. But I got busy starting my one for Around the World in 80 Days. Still had to put the finishing touches on that, but my washi tape had come in, my kind of steampunk Jules Verne-ish washi tape, so I couldn't resist the urge to finally work on this. Although I think I might add another random picture in here. I want to put a point on the fact that for whatever reason, like 80% it seemed of the covers had a hot air balloon in it. And Around the World in 80 Days doesn't have a hot air balloon in it. Jules Verne wrote a book with a hot air balloon in it, but it wasn't Around the World in 80 Days, which made me think it was so funny that so many of the book covers had a hot air balloon in it. So I'm going to have to actually make sure I insert one of those covers in here because I think I managed to avoid all of them, which actually is unfortunate. So I need to at least represent one of those. Anyway, I also have to fix a broken I-cord on one of my hand knit ornaments. It snapped. Pretty sure this is one of my designs. Anyway, distractible. But yeah, various things such as those things kept me distracted from finishing The Happy Prince. Although I love this book. I particularly love the titular story. For the longest time, I thought this was a Hans Christian Andersen story. Because when my sister and I were kids, first of all, my mom would do the homeschooling. But for many years, my dad would come home after work, and when he was putting us to bed, he would read us stories. And there would be things like the Book of Virtues, what's it called? The Rest of the Story. Then there was Hans Christian Andersen and apparently Oscar Wilde. And he would find all these like really cool stories that kind of just always have kind of formed the fiber of the way I think, because my sister and I still pull from a story, I think it's from the Book of Virtues, where they talk about not living and enjoying the moment, where the guy kept pulling the string from this ball that let him speed up time, but you can't put the string back in, and before he knew it, he was at the end of his life. So it's a family saying to be like, whoa, don't pull the string. So I believe that one was from the Book of Virtues. So things like those stories have really stuck with both my sister and I, and actually become a part of, the family consciousness, I guess, just stuck in the way our family thinks about things. But I was thinking about The Happy Prince the other day, And I was like, man, I love that story, but I can't find in my Hans Christian Andersen book. And I think I mentioned something to my dad and my sister, and either my dad or my sister immediately, probably my sister immediately said, that's not a Hans Christian Andersen story. And together that my dad and sister mentioned that was actually Oscar Wilde. And Dad said, yeah, he also wrote, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and he mentioned a couple of other things. Now, I've read The Picture of Dorian Gray a long time ago, when I was trying to read the different books about the different characters that were in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. If you guys remember the Sean Connery movie that came out a while back. Not a very good movie, but it did get me reading, choosing to search out and read books about the various different main characters. I never finished the one for Alan Quatermain, which was King Solomon's Mines. And actually I haven't finished Dracula either. But I finished Frankenstein, which I can't remember now if he was a part of that. I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea for school, and I read Invisible Man. And the other one that I remember searching out was The Picture of Dorian Gray. And that one I did finish. But I wasn't aware that Oscar Wilde also wrote what is one of my favorites, I consider his little book of fairy tales, The Happy Prince. And every time I read The Happy Prince, I want to cry. Sometimes I actually do cry. The text is nicely sized. The language is very, very much that of fairy tales if you read a decent amount of fairy tales. And it makes it something that would be very easy and pleasant to read aloud. There's that kind of wit where Oscar Wilde, throughout these stories, points to the hypocrisy of people who puff themselves up with either how virtuous they are or how smart they are, or with whatever vanities that people tend to sort of puff themselves up with. And the language that the characters use is simple enough that it would appeal to a child while not feeling like it's talking down to any adults who are reading it. Now, there's two stories. So this is a set of 5 stories. The Happy Prince, which is the titular story, The Nightingale and the Rose, The Selfish Giant, The Devoted Friend, and The Remarkable Rocket. The funny thing is, I do vaguely remember most of these stories. The Nightingale and the Rose, I'm pretty sure that I remember my dad reading. The Devoted Friend and The Remarkable Rocket, I don't remember really at all. I think I remember aspects of The Devoted Friend. Part of the beginning part, I think. The setup story. The story. But the two that I really remember are also the two that I really love. The Happy Prince and The Selfish Giant. And those two are the ones that bring me to tears every time, and will choke me up every time that I get to the end. And I'm not actually sure I could read them aloud because I get so emotional by the end of these two stories. When I was trying to explain to my mom the stories, because I wasn't sure if she had remembered them, because she wasn't the one who would read these particular stories aloud. My dad was. So I was explaining the plot to The Happy Prince and The Selfish Giant, and I could even just summarizing the plot, including, leading into the end, I was choking up because there's so much heart to those two stories. So if you read nothing else of Oscar Wilde, which would be a shame because he's also known for the Importance of Being Earnest, which I haven't read. For some reason, I thought that was a Shakespeare work. So I do need to read that. I have a box set of Oscar Wilde that I show in a different book haul video that I haven't put up yet. This little book of tales was put out in 1888. And it says it's an anthology of 5 magical yet haunting short stories by Oscar Wilde. And that's actually a very good way to describe these. These stories stick with you. And they, like I said, they have heart to them. I wouldn't call them happy stories, but they're definitely stories with the flavor of the fairy tale, with a, particularly the kind of fairy tale that you might see in a Grimm's, where even if it doesn't always seem to turn out well for the characters, there's some sort of moral to it. Although I would argue to a certain extent, even though there is a sadness to things like the Happy Prince and the Selfish Giant, those are actually the 2 happiest stories in here. But happy in the bittersweet way in some ways. So, yes, if you've never read any of Oscar Wilde, I think that The Happy Prince is a great place to start. I do think that it's absolutely perfect for reading to children. It's written in the kind of language that will stick with children even though they don't necessarily fully appreciate the beauty and simplicity of the writing. And the wry humor won't hit a child necessarily, but it will definitely hit an adult and make the reading enjoyable for them as well. It's not just a child story. I think it's a mistake sometimes for children's stories not to have layers. Because I think children deserve to have good works as well. And that's definitely what Oscar Wilde's The Happy Prince and Other Tales provides. Stories with depth and heart that can be enjoyed by all ages. And I did have here my Sparrows bookmark. It's actually came from a set for those, it was a verse in Matthew where Jesus talks of he takes care of the sparrows, would he not take care of you? And that's summarized, that's obviously not verbatim for the quote, but it was a set of several bookmarks. I gave some of them to my mom and I kept some for myself. And this is one of the sparrows from that set. And it works because there is, now it's actually a swallow in The Little Prince, but I wanted this to represent the swallow in that story. And I don't actually have a swallow bookmark, but I figured this sparrow would, be a good stand-in. So yeah, that is my review for The Happy Prince. I'm not sure when the book haul video will go up, where I show this and the rest of the box set, but this particular video will probably be going up before that book haul just because I can. Alrighty. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to try to close this video before my alarm goes off. I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye-bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.